Welcome to Spirited Investigations and welcome to Massachusetts Haunted History. This list of 10 is part of a playlist of gentle listening, spooky collections from across the USA. The screen fades to black so you can enjoy the stories without distractions. Please do consider a like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. First is the Omni Parker House in Boston. With a classic and iconic design, the hotel is full of opulent old world decor and historical firsts. For example, it's the home of the Boston cream pie. The ghost of Harvey Parker, who founded the hotel in 1855, is said to roam its halls and especially the 10th floor. The elevators here get regularly called to the 3rd floor though, which is where Charles Dickens stayed and where 19th century actress Charlotte Cushman died. Guests have seen misty apparitions and have heard rocking chairs creak, as well as friendly whispering in empty hallways. At number 2 is Freetown Fall River State Forest. You don't earn the nickname the Cursed Forest of Massachusetts for nothing. Not only does this 5,000-acre forest include 25 miles of strolling, hiking and horseback trails, it also boasts a sordid history of documented crimes and tragedies. The forest has witnessed several murders and plenty of satanic cult activity, with eyewitnesses also reporting UFOs, poltergeists and ghosts. The whole forest is part of the famous Bridgewater Triangle, a 200-square-mile vortex of unexplained paranormal activity located 30 miles south of Boston. Third on our list is the Spidergate Cemetery. Dating from 1740, the Quaker Cemetery is in Leicester and, according to local law, is the gateway to another dimension. Set back from the main road and past a stream that some folks think is the mouth of the River Styx, an iron gate serves as the entrance to the secluded graveyard. The gate itself is known as the 8th Gate to Hell. Visitors agree that the other 7 gates don't actually exist, but that doesn't explain a history of questionable activity, with ghost sightings, strange noises, and evidence of satanic rituals conducted on a stone altar. A local tip is to leave coins on the gravesite of Marmaduke Earl to buy a conversation with the departed. At number 4 is Longfellow's Wayside Inn, America's oldest continuously operated inn. Built in 1716 on a majestic 100-plus acre property, the Wayside Inn gained fame as the setting for poetry by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Stay in rooms 9 or 10 and you might meet resident spectre Jerusha Howe, a descendant of the original owners and the sister of a former innkeeper, who died of a broken heart after losing her fiancé at sea. Some say you can smell her citrus perfume, feel her touch, and hear her playing the piano at night. The inn features notes tucked inconspicuously throughout the inn by visitors that have witnessed ghostly experiences. Halfway through the list we have the Lizzie Borden House in Fall River. It is perhaps the most famous or infamous haunting in Massachusetts. Lizzie was accused but acquitted of her father and stepmother's grisly slayings which happened in the house. Those who visit the site of the 1892 unsolved murder say they've heard weeping, whispers and footsteps, and have seen wandering apparitions in Victorian-era clothing. Many people know the sordid tale of Lizzie Borden and have probably sung the macabre nursery rhyme, but few have committed to staying the night at the haunted family home turned bed and breakfast. It is possible to stay a night in the very room where Abby Borden met her demise. And number 6 is Hoosac Tunnel. Still active today, the Hoosac Tunnel is a nearly 5-mile-long railroad tunnel located in western Massachusetts. Construction began in 1851 and ran up a final cost of nearly $21 million by the time it was completed in 1875. The building of the Hoosac Tunnel didn't go as planned, and it became inflicted with tragedy and mourning. Due to the nature of planning back then, communications were especially lacking, resulting in a grand total of over 190 lives lost before it was finished. Even after the tunnel was opened, 30 more lost their lives in strange and bizarre ways. With such a staggering number of deaths, it's no wonder the place is heavily haunted. To this day, people say they hear agonizing screams, see floating lanterns, and witness ghostly figures around the tunnel. At spot number 7 is the House of the Seven Gables. This 17th century colonial house is rumoured to be one of Salem's most haunted. In a city that was the site of the infamous 1692 witch trials, that is saying something. The house was originally known as the Turner Ingersoll Mansion until Salem-born author Nathaniel Hawthorne's 1851 novel prompted the name change. There are claims of visions of a boy playing near the attic and shadowy silhouettes near the Gothic-inspired gables outside. And number 8 is Fort Warren. As the story goes, way back in 1862, Mrs. Melanie Lanier travelled from South Carolina to Fort Warren. She was on a mission to save her husband, who was being held captive there. Being a Confederate soldier, the locals were quick to lock him up. While she didn't know what may happen to her husband, she created a cunning plan to sneak herself into the prison and bust him out. She was successful, and also freed other prisoners in the process. Unfortunately, it wasn't long afterwards that Melanie and the others were discovered in their hideaway. Melanie had been smart enough to pack a weapon, but on trying to use it, it backfired in her hands. A large piece of shrapnel flew out towards her husband and struck him in the head. Melanie was executed not long after. To this day, people say you can hear all kinds of ghostly sounds coming from the area. Many have spotted an apparition roaming around wearing a black hood, which was the very thing Melanie was hung in. For number 9 we have King's Chapel Burial Ground in Boston, which was founded by Sir Isaac Johnson in 1630, making it one of the oldest burial sites in all of Boston. Some of Boston's earliest residents are laid to rest in King's Chapel, including many from the Revolutionary War as well. History tells of a man actually being buried alive in the cemetery, and other stories of gravediggers digging a grave incorrectly for a woman. They hadn't dug it long enough for her tall height, so, instead of fixing their error, they decided it would be easier to simply cut off her head. Those who visit the cemetery at night say it feels like someone is watching, and it's believed that lost spirits are constantly wandering about the grounds. Many grave markers were actually moved back in the early 1800s, so it does make some sense that the dead feel lost. Finally, a bit of a fun one, for the name at least. It's Bunghole Liquors. Yeah, that's the real name of an alcohol store in Salem. The store is now at the location of a former funeral home, with a parlour that used to have secret tunnels running underneath it. Those tunnels were used to transport alcohol back and forth during the Prohibition. Workers at the liquor store claim to have heard disembodied voices wandering through the store. A female's voice is heard the most often, along with a cat meowing. When employees go to investigate, there's no one in sight and no animals to be seen. Many claim you can still hear people from the funeral home wandering around within the tunnels, perhaps still trying to move their illicit moonshine from decades ago. Thank you for joining us on this little journey. From a whole forest to a hilariously named small alcohol store, Massachusetts certainly has some weird and wonderful tales from within the state. I hope you'll be here for the next one.